Okay, so we're doing something a little different today. We're not talking about Canon rumors. Nope. Today we're talking about iPhone 12 rumors. And there's a bunch of them, and most of these have come actually from a pretty good source that actually seems to have a pretty high accuracy of knowing what's going to be happening in the future. And that's the folks over at Front Page Tech. So recently, actually just a little while back, we had talked about a few features of the iPhone 12 in regards to specs. And one of the specs that we had sort of hoped for, but everybody was kind of pointing that we didn't think it was going to happen in this year's model, the iPhone 12 or the iPhone 12 Pro, was 120 hertz displays. Well, it seems that the folks over at FPT may have stumbled across some information that may actually prove that it could possibly be making it to this year's phones. But first off, just to get some information out of the way, the phone that this was spotted on or has been tested on is what's called a PVT. And as they show here, this is a production validation test unit. These are supposedly the very last build. So these are the last units that are built kind of in-house before they actually get put out to the units or the versions that you and I end up getting in our hands. This is like stage 9 of 10 kind of thing, the very end of the unit before they go into mass production. So these are what are called PVT units. The other thing to be aware of is a lot of these units get disguised so that they look like older models of that phone, so that when they're out in the wild, people don't necessarily notice that these are the newer versions and versions that you and I aren't necessarily supposed to be seeing. But here comes some of this 120 hertz refresh rate information, which is kind of exciting. Okay, so here's number one. Here's number one, and this is in regards, like I said, to the 120 hertz. So here's a screenshot from FPT, and right in the settings you see this display area, which actually talks about enable high refresh rate. So it says, please check if your PVT model supports high refresh rate. Now we do know that none of the previous versions, iPhone 11 Pro and previous, had any support for this. So this is kind of curious. Attempt to enable high refresh rate on unsupported hardware may provoke unexpected behavior. Cool, but this could also be something that we're seeing separating the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro. Maybe only the 12s will be getting this enable high refresh rate, which would be that 120 hertz. And as we see right below that, we see this enable adaptive refresh rate. Now, an adaptive refresh rate would push it into that 120 hertz when it's kind of required, and would move it down to a 60 hertz when you're in a screen that doesn't really require it or would have no real benefit of that refresh rate. Now be aware that turning 120 hertz on, as lovely as it would also be a feature that would take a lot of battery away from you. So it's usually very aggressive on battery usage. So having a toggle switch here so that we could enable and disable it could be beneficial, as well as having this adaptive feature so that the phone kind of handles that for us. So that's number one. So 120 hertz, it may be coming. I have a feeling though that this may be a Pro feature only. So will we see it on the standard 12? I don't know. 12 Pro? Maybe. The other thing that's really cool here is over at FPT is they talk about some of the possible new camera modes. And again, I think a lot of these camera modes, at least one of these is very specific, I believe, to the iPhone 12 Pro. And if we look at this screenshot here, we're in the camera settings. And first off, you have this enable camera features, which is great, and that'll expand. Enable LiDAR. So this will enable LiDAR assisted autofocus and subject detection for video and night mode. So this would be fantastic, especially when lights get low and camera focusing always becomes an issue. So being able to use that LiDAR scanner, not for just augmented reality, so AR and VR, but actually use it as a feature that can improve the speed and accuracy of our autofocus on our cameras. That's number one, and that's really cool. And we do believe this will be a feature possibly of the iPhone 12 Pro, because I believe that's the only one of the two phones that will be getting the actual LiDAR scanner. The other one here is enable video modes. So enable enhanced video recording modes, 4K at 120 frames per second, 4K at 240 frames per second, 4K 240. Oh my gosh. If that's true, holy smokes. Enable enhanced night mode, super cool. Enable advanced noise reduction, enable bit depth video. So this may be a feature where we're able to see depth information now, which we saw in the photo mode, especially that portrait mode. Maybe we'll start to see this in video, so that's also really cool. And enable zoom capabilities. So they may be using some of that extra information, and possibly again with the LiDAR scanner, to enable us to get better zoom. So a lot of cool information here in regards to some of the camera features of, well, I say the 12 Pro, possibly some of these may sneak in there with the 12 Pro. I would say a lot of these sound like they could be really viable options. And if they're only in the 12 Pro, that may make me hold off. Now, speaking of holding off, as we all know, 2020 has been a fantastic year for things taking their sweet time coming out and release dates being pushed back for everything. So the folks over at FPT again, this time with some release dates. Number one would be that there would be an iPhone 12 event. So this would probably be another one of the online keynotes. It says week 42, which would put it in and around October 12th or the week of October 12th that you and I can expect some kind of announcement from Apple. Again, these are just rumors and speculations. Are they true? We don't know, but kind of cool, and it builds a lot of excitement. At least it does for me. iPhone 12 devices, so again, this is 12, not the 12 Pro. Pre-orders would start on that exact same week, so they would do their keynote, and immediately following it, I'm sure they would be and you can pre-order it today or tonight or later on this afternoon or this Friday. Shipping in week 43, so shipping the week of October 19th. And that's for the iPhone 12, not the 12 Pro. iPhone 12 Pro devices, pre-ordering and shipping in November. That's it. That's all. There's nothing more. So, can you wait? Well, you might have to. And they're probably doing this no exact date because they just don't know. They don't know what's happening. I don't know. John doesn't know. Apple doesn't know. Nobody knows. And the last one that it talks about here is Apple Watch and iPad. And it does say that there'll be a press release on the week 37, or that would be the week of September 7th. Now, will sales or pre-orders start at that time? We don't know. We have no idea. John doesn't know. I don't know. And again, nobody knows. Apple probably knows this one. Apple knows this one for sure. So there you go, guys. There's some information in regards to what possibly could be coming out on the new iPhones, when they could be released or shown or something. And I'll put links down below to FPT's YouTube channel because, for one, he's somewhat entertaining. I'll give him that. He's entertaining if you like that kind of humor. You'll see one episode and you'll know. I like it or you don't like it. But keep coming back here. I'll try to cram as much information and just get to the good bits. All right, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys next video. Later.